Unemployment. This channel has been very much a sort of diary in a way of my professional journey thus far. I documented the process of me sort of landing the job and what the early stages was of the sort of first big boy marketing role. I then documented the promotion to marketing manager and the new responsibilities that came with that. And now we've come full circle for me documenting me being laid off, which is quite interesting, quite bittersweet, I think, because I was kind of having thoughts about my future anyway, and sort of, understanding, is this startup environment life really for me? Is my professional marketing experience better used in a bigger, much bigger company? And randomly one Monday morning after our regular team stand-up, I got pulled aside by senior management and they just said, "Listen, Martin, you've been great, but we don't feel your role is as valuable anymore. We're looking to replace you with someone more commercial. You have until the end of May to find something new." And it came very sort of out of the blue. There wasn't any sort of sign that this was happening. I actually got feedback a couple weeks prior to say that the work I was doing was very good and it was, it was beneficial to the projects we had going on and the campaigns would be successful, blah, blah, blah. But all of that aside, I look back and reflect and understand that the company itself, with it being a startup, with it being a bootstrapped startup with not much investment, was not performing as well as it should have been from a revenue generation perspective. And unfortunately, as marketers, we tend to be the first ones to get the chop to free up budget to use elsewhere. And you might be sat there telling yourself, well, marketing is directly influenced to sales. Why would they get rid of the marketing person, when they need to improve their sales? I have the same questions. But about a week later, I found out that my role was essentially being replaced with a commercial director, someone to really take the reins of the revenue generation, lead generation activity and push it forward. Which is fine and fantastic. I can't compete with a commercial director, someone who's got 10, 15, 20 years of experience compared to my 3 or 4 in marketing. Of course, they would do a better job at driving revenue than me. But as a full stack generalist marketer, I do, have the concerns of there's so many things I do that no one in the company knows how to do. And obviously I don't care, I'm leaving the company, it's just not my problem. But I'm sort of looking at it from, a bit of an entrepreneurial perspective of thinking, why would you get rid of a person and a position that offers so much externally and who does more than just one job role? But ultimately that's sort of the risk I was willing to take working in a startup. In the first place, I knew it would be volatile, I knew that these things could happen, I knew I could do a fantastic job in my role, but still be the first person to get the boot when it's time to free up budget. The point of the video is the reaction and what I've done to just make sure I don't fall into a pit of despair over being laid off. What is the positive action I've took from this and how am I moving forward? And you would have heard I mentioned earlier I was given until the end of May to find a new position. That was basically 3.5 months from when I got told I was being laid off to essentially find a new job. So I've essentially sort of been given 3 months notice, which is incredible. And I'm still working at the organisation currently now doing the same job I was doing, but also having a number of interviews and having conversations with recruiters, etc. to eventually land the next position. Literally within 15 minutes of me being told I was being laid off, I was on LinkedIn applying for roles. I already had an updated CV and cover letter and portfolio anyway, because I always make sure to keep those things up to date anyway, just in case, because I work in startup environment and agency land. I know that these negative situations could happen, so I just made sure previously that I was already prepared, had CVs, had cover letters ready in the event of only being given 2 weeks or a month's notice. Just being prepped and being agile, ready to send off applications is really helpful in this sort of situation. Ultimately, it only took me about sort of 2 or 3 hours to apply for like 100 jobs on LinkedIn and using Easy Apply and using Quick Apply on platforms like Indeed as well, just to get my name and my CV out there. And then within the first 3 days, on the Thursday, I got told I was being laid off on the Monday. That following Thursday, I had my first interview. And since then, over the last sort of 3 weeks or so, I've had, around about just over 10 interviews in total at various different companies, various different stages as well. I'm currently sort of around about 3 weeks a month after being told I was being laid off, and I've already entered the latter stages of some processes. So I can't stress enough the importance of being quick and agile in just getting out there and applying for everything. Because ultimately recruitment is also just a numbers game. If I only applied for 5-10 jobs, I can't expect to get an interview, because I know on average it takes about 60-70 applications to get one interview. But yeah, that was sort of just a big mentality shift that I had of like, okay, this is what it is, I can't change it, I can't be sad about it, I just have to go in action and put myself out there. Something that also helped me is that when I was at my job role, putting the shift in, doing the work, there's no no sort of qualms with me. I had no problems with senior leadership. I wasn't planning on moving anywhere. I was still having interviews at other organisations for sort of much bigger positions that came up, more senior positions that came up, and I just applied just for the hell of it. Why it was a why not situation, and I actually landed an interview. This happened a couple of times where I actually got a proper full-fledged interview at a very senior role that I was probably quite underqualified for, but I still got the interview. And just having that practice of talking to someone, essentially selling yourself, being able to talk through your experience, being able to talk about, what was good, what the challenges you've overcame, how you've helped grow the business, etc. Just having that practice and keeping that relatively top of mind, for me then going into having 4 or 5 phone calls and Zoom calls with recruiters and senior leaderships at other businesses really helped me not feel rusty and sort of give myself a bit of an edge compared to other people who were in the same boat as me, have previously been laid off and are scrambling to find a new job. The process in general has also sort of given me time and breathing room to take a step back, take a big step back and sort of think of, is this area of marketing for me? Is this job role for me? Is marketing for me? Is there something else I want to try? And sort of being able to actually take in all the work I've done over the last 3 years, because as you can imagine, working in an agency and startup environments, everything's go, go, go all the time. There isn't really much opportunity to take a step back and let everything in. It's always next project, next campaign, next execution, etc. So it's been really fantastic for me over the last couple of weeks, after I've got over the sort of nerves of, I have to send out 1 million applications, to actually take a step back and be like, are the things I'm applying for now actually what I want to go into? And I don't think my industry will change. I think I will still continue to want to work in marketing, but I think for me specifically, it's understanding where in marketing I feel like I am best fit, because I joined my previous organisation and I sort of have always operated as a generalist marketing individual. Both my marketing exec and marketing manager roles were generalist. I was sort of going in and sort of just putting out fires and resolving tickets and doing a multitude of different things, from website development to SEO to paid media to social to organic content building. There wasn't anything I really didn't do, which is fantastic for sort of early stages where I'm at now. But moving forward, I think it's now, again, having this time to sort of understand what I actually enjoyed out of all of those processes and understanding what I'm actually, better at across all these different functions of marketing. I have sort of had a couple revelations of where I enjoy working. So I think overall this sort of process and this thought loop that I've been in of, I'm being laid off, I've got to find something else, I've been able to sort of have the foresight to be able to take a step back and have these sort of wider conversations with myself, just to really understand what is the actual best next step for me. And I think overall I will be alright. I'm having some good conversations with different businesses. I don't really struggle to get interviews or calls, just because I know, for my age especially, I sort of dropped out of uni after a year and straight away worked in marketing. So I'm nearly 25 now. I started working in marketing when I was 19. I've got 5 or 6 years worth of cumulative professional marketing experience. And the common theme that I see from recruiters and from senior leadership is you've actually got a lot more general work experience than most other people your age, because I sort of sacrificed the degree to get that work experience. And having that experience working as marketing manager for the company I'm now getting laid off from, having that senior leadership experience and being a team leader and being someone who is line managing other people and taking a wider view of marketing campaigns, marketing strategy as a whole, not just doing the execution but actually planning and strategizing over what is being put out, does put me in a very strong place compared to other competition. And it obviously still sucks a little bit because even the senior leadership that I was speaking to told me I did nothing wrong. It was just a case of the business, the business where the business is at currently, they need a different role, they need different specialities. Getting rid of the only marketing individual at the organisation is a bit weird. I don't really understand that, but game is the game, and we just move on to the next thing. So I think the point of this video is for young people, around my age, early 20s. I'm technically in my mid-20s now, oh my god. But just Gen Z in general, just to not feel, too hard done by when the situation happens to them. Being fired or laid off or, being made redundant, however you want to phrase it, it can be a bit of an ego shot in a way, because I'm sort of thinking, well, I know I'm sick, so why am I not staying on? And it has been good for just my own sort of life building, character building, I guess if you want to call it that, to have this experience early on and deal with it the way I've dealt with it, of just moving forward, but also tapping into my emotions a little bit. I think a lot of Gen Z can really benefit from sort of understanding that process. I don't want any young person to go through being fired or laid off or whatever, but it's how to react upon that happening and how to positively react, because it's so easy for me to just throw a tantrum, tell everyone to F off, tell everyone to do one, but ultimately that's just not going to get me anywhere, because I'm going to burn those relationships with quite senior people, not get references written for me, and just essentially just be left on my ones, essentially, to fend for myself. So that's how I've dealt with sort of me being let go from an organization. It's still, for me, it's still an ongoing process, and I will keep you guys updated and document the process in general as well. But overall, it's not that deep. I think a lot of people my age will sort of have that mentality of, oh, whatever, it's not that deep, game is the game, we just move on to the next thing. But it is important for younger people to tap into the emotions a little bit, take a step back, have a think, and to put the best foot forward in terms of what the next steps are. But yeah, I hope you took something from this video. Again, I'll keep you guys updated, blah blah blah, but I hope you guys stay safe. But yeah, cheers, thanks for watching, see you in a bit, bye bye.